standards. The most sort of forthrightly thuggish attempt at a kind of dictatorial impersonation I've seen on TV.
Well, that's right. And like a criminal, he kept returning to the scene of the crime by talking about January 6th compulsively. He could not leave it alone. And look, he even used the BS word to describe cases against him, even though he was convicted on dozens of felony criminal counts in New York without, any appellate reversal. But he used that word, the BS word, which was precisely the word his own obsequious, sycophantic Attorney General William Barr used to describe his claim that he had won the 2020 presidential election. Even his own Attorney General told him it was complete nonsense. And, of course, there were more than 60 federal and state court judgments repudiating that. And yet that is the seminal governing lie that, these people inhabit as an entire universe of lies on everything from January 6th to their fraudulent claims of weaponization of the Department of Justice against them, when that's precisely what they're in the process of doing right now.
Yeah, and he also, his sort of enemies list, his desire to get rid of the First Amendment and to prosecute people for protected speech is plain as day. I think people should understand it the way they understand the way he talked about tariffs in the campaign. He keeps saying it. He targeted the free press again. He targeted individual private citizens by name, but he basically said that the work that we do, me and my colleagues, among others, is illegal. Take a listen.
These networks and these newspapers are really no different than a highly paid political operative. And it has to stop. It has to be illegal. It's influencing judges, and it's really changing law, and it just cannot be legal. I don't believe it's legal. And they do it in total coordination with each other.
I mean, it's nonsense on stilts.
So after beginning the speech by proclaiming his devotion to free speech and the First Amendment, he ends up by saying it has to be illegal when newspapers disagree with him. And what's interesting is how much this mirrors what happened during the Alien and Sedition Acts in 1798, where the attack on immigrants converged with an attack on free speech. So they were putting newspaper editors in jail at the same time that they were rounding up immigrants, French immigrants who they considered dangerous and wanted to deport. And this Khalil case just embodies that fusion of an attack on people's political freedom of expression and the abuse of the criminal justice process and the immigration process to go after people who the president disagrees with.
Yeah, and that point about the history here, the Alien Sedition Act. I was reading last night about the Palmer raids. Mitchell Palmer, the Attorney General, after the Bolshevik Revolution in 1917. I had forgotten that the Palmer raids, which are one of those notorious, like the Alien Sedition Acts, like internment, notorious moments of sort of peak abrogation of American civil liberties. Those were all deportations. The whole point was rounding up undesirables and shipping them off because they were radicals.
Yeah. Well, in the train of lies that was hurtling down the track today at the Department of Justice, one was that he had the greatest popular vote in history. Of course, he won by barely 2 million votes. Joe Biden beat him 4 years before by 7 million votes. But he talked about the sea of red on the map, and he said that's red representing Republican, not red representing communist, which is what the other side wanted. And so he threw some Palmer raid-style red baiting in there, too, in this just absolute wandering diatribe of a speech. I mean, it may as well have been the Republican National Convention. And it was a complete disgrace and desecration of the Department of Justice. Every president before Donald Trump has at least, in theory, tried to adhere to the boundary between independent criminal law enforcement and presidential political power. And he just ravaged the boundary. Yeah. He just bulldozed it. And he's turning it into something like, the Department of Commerce or the Department of Transportation. It's all directly under the president in their completely obscene unitary executive theory that the president controls everything. And now they're saying, of course, the president defines what the law is. under Article 2 of the executive branch, despite the fact that in 1803 in Marbury versus Madison, Chief Justice Marshall said it's emphatically the province and the duty of the Supreme Court to say what the law is. But they reject that, too.
Well, he's wrong, and laughably so. And it's not illegal to say it. And we're not scared of him. Congressman Jamie Raskin, thank you. Still.
It's a bit chilly. Gather around for the latest episode of Capitol Hill's favourite game show, Wheel of Misfortune, featuring our perpetually beleaguered Senate Minority Leader, Chuck Schumer. I might start shivering here, it's cold. Tonight, Chuck's spinning the wheel, desperately hoping it doesn't land on retirement. That arrow's been pointing there for a while, let's face it. It's really been spinning around and shaking for a while, getting close to the marker of retirement. Anyway, first stop, let's talk about Chuck's love affair with filibusters. He's kind of like that ex who promises they've changed. No more obstruction, just pure legislative love. Until, wow, power shifts and it's back to the same old tricks. Remember when Chuck thought nuking the filibuster would, I don't know, save democracy? Now, it's a punchline waiting to happen. I'll put my hood up. Sorry, it's a bit cold here. I know, isn't it delightful watching him juggle his caucuses, progressives and moderates? I'm not sure it's working. It's like watching someone trying to herd cats while blindfolded on a unicycle. Will AOC throw him under the bus? Or will Pelosi give him that nudge first? I just get the idea. It's TikTok. It's not anyone's game. It is TikTok, Schumer. Here's the kicker. Schumer's latest circus act involves cozying up so close to tremendous Trump's policies. You'd think he was auditioning for a spot on The Apprentice, White House 2025. Pelosi's out there shaking her head, and AOC's just waiting, this is what I think, for the perfect moment to yell, bingo! Or time's up, get out, whatever. So as you watch Chuck's final days play out, grab your popcorn, or better yet, a bingo card, because every day is a gamble in the life of Chuck Schumer. We should ask the question, will he land on the jackpot or bankruptcy, politically speaking? Only time will tell, but one thing's for sure, I'm a bit cold and the odds are as shaky as his stance on that vote was close today. Wow, that was close.